what you need to know about how disability insurance carriers view thoracic outlet syndrome claims. Now, your thoracic outlet syndrome has to be severe enough to significantly limit your ability to perform your own occupation or any occupation. Therein lies the problem with some TOS cases. Disability carriers will often deny a TOS claim on the basis that there's no objective evidence to support your subjective complaints of pain once you've had treatment, including undergoing surgery. Unfortunately, even objective testing can't prove how severe or disabling someone's pain is, and sometimes there are no objective findings on X-rays, CT scans, or MRIs to explain someone's pain. Even an EMG or nerve conduction testing can be normal. And the disability carrier is going to make a leap of logic. They're going to conclude that either you're exaggerating or faking your pain, tingling, and numbness and dysfunction. It's crucial that your doctor explain what objective findings support your disabling symptoms, how you can have these symptoms despite normal studies or physical findings, and the basis of the restrictions and limitations that they're assigning. Now, disability carriers don't appreciate the fact that TOS can make it difficult to do a number of things. For example, your pain might make it difficult for you to sit or to stand, and it certainly is going to make it difficult for you to turn side to side this way, or to lift, to raise your arms over your head, or even have your arm out in front of you, or even perhaps have your arm to the side. Now, all those motions are important because that's the normal range of motion of an arm and the functionality. You may also have problems using your hands and fingers. Now, this is crucial because bilateral manual dexterity is the key to any kind of occupation. When we're having problems like this, documenting on an objective basis of the restrictions and limitations, I will normally have my client undergo an FC, a functional capacity evaluation, by a favorable claimant-oriented provider who will do the testing and explain what the results are. And an FC is considered objective testing of restrictions and limitations. Now, another way to document functionality issues is to keep a diary or to do video. The diary ought to establish the frequency and nature of your symptoms, how it impacts your productivity at work or home, the modifications you've had to make to be able to function. But better yet, I think you can shoot a video. But I want to make sure that it's consistent with what you've put on your activities of daily living forms, because it's important that there is this consistency between what you tell your doctor your symptoms are, what you're putting in the activity of daily living forms, and of course any diary or video, because the carrier is going to be looking for inconsistencies. When you are completing that activity of daily living form, you got to be careful because there's lots of traps in these forms. You may have good days and bad days, you may have flare-ups, there may be activity that causes your symptoms to be worse. So you want to describe the functionality when you're filling out these forms in the form of ranges. Now, the ultimate issue is going to be whether your symptoms have regressed to the point that the pain or dysfunctions limits your ability to perform your own occupation or any occupation. Now, in handling this, I think that we need to take an approach that's unique to you. If your shoulder, arm, hand, and finger pain is mild, most likely your claim is going to be denied. Your claim is going to be decided on the medical records forms and statements documenting the severity, frequency, and duration of all of your symptoms. But you might have a flare-up of that pain based on particular activity that you do. And certainly as your symptoms progress, we want to document the pain, swelling, tingling, limited range of motion, and we want that documented not only in your medical records, but in any forms you're filling out. It's important, of course, that we document any problems in your hands because, again, as I've said, any occupation requires generally bilateral manual dexterity. And if you're having trouble with a hand or your hands, you're not going to be able to do your own or any occupation. Now, I think it's important that you give an interval history to your physician and explain to them what's happened to you between visits. Because you may have progressing symptoms, you may have problems with activities that aggravate or accelerate your problems. And certainly if you're having complications of surgery, we want to document that. Now, carriers are going to assume that if you've gotten treatment and your condition is stable, that you can immediately go back to work. 4 to 6 weeks later, away we go, we're going to deny the claim. Now, not all disability adjusters are familiar with the nature of TOS, the problems, the symptoms, the treatment, and the side effects of medication. Not only before you have invasive treatment, but after you have that treatment. They don't always understand the complications of surgery, the need for repeat surgery, or how surgery can actually increase your symptoms. We've got to spell it out for them in detail, not only in your medical records, but in your activity of daily living forms, and certainly any diary or video that you're showing. So it's really incumbent upon you to be giving a doctor a really good history of what your symptoms are, what activities may cause you to have increased symptoms, what treatment you're getting, the results of that treatment, and certainly any complications you're having from that treatment. We want to make sure that the carrier understands the nature of your symptoms, the progression of your symptoms, and the extent of how your problems uniquely impact you. The carrier is going to review your medical records looking for this consistency or inconsistency. They're going to have a liar for hire doctor review all this material, and they're going to be looking for certain things. They're going to be looking for things like, how long have you had these particular symptoms? They're going to be looking for information about the nature of your symptoms in terms of frequency, duration, intensity, how your symptoms have progressed or changed over time with treatment or with surgery, what side effects of medication or treatment that you're having, what you've reported to your doctor about how your symptoms impact your daily activities, particularly, as I said, your ability to use your arms, hands, and fingers. Now, they're going to compare that to what you put on the activity of daily living form, looking for inconsistencies, because potentially that's going to result in surveillance. They are absolutely going to be looking at what treatment you got and the response to the treatment. So if you're having problems, document it, tell your doctor, particularly if you're having complications from surgery. And as I've said, surgery can make your condition worse. So we want to compare and contrast what your symptoms were before and after. Now, sometimes disability carriers will use what's called an independent medical examination. The policy probably gives the carrier the right to have you examined by a physician they choose. Now, while it's called an independent medical examination, it's anything but independent. The carrier is paying this doctor to give them ammunition with which to deny your claim. If you are being set up for an IME, it's absolutely time for you to contact an experienced ERISA attorney like me. We're going to try to manage that IME, do surveillance, make sure that your physician evaluates you before the IME. We're going to talk about surveillance because you're going to have issues potentially with surveillance put on you before that IME, the day of the IME, and after the IME. So I want you to understand that that really is a trap, and if you think you're going there for the doctor to support your claim, you are sadly, sadly mistaken. Call me today at 727-894-3188 for a complimentary consultation to learn more about your rights to your long-term disability benefits as a result of thoracic outlet syndrome. I can help you get the disability benefits you deserve regardless of where you live in the United States.